Bapanas downplays concerns over reduced budget for free nutritious meal program. This is a big one for the president. And DPRD suggests that non-DK vehicles are prohibited from entering Bali during Christmas in order to not have the problems that we had last year, Christmas, New Year time. Stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is December 4th, 2024, right? And my name is Bruce. And what is the weather today? It is 30 degrees Celsius, 69% humidity, 6.4 kilometers per hour wind speed, and it is cloudy and getting rain every day up here in Kampung Bugis. Not a whole lot, but definitely rain. And so we're still doing some last minute repairs as we get the rain that comes in and we see some holes that we have not fixed up during the dry season. And so we can be looking at rain for the next, 4, 5, 6 months. And lots of deportations, interestingly enough, in the news. 3 deportations. One, a Brazilian lawyer who was arrested for prostitution. And, well, she was not cheap, $7.8 million for fun with her. And 2 young Russian ladies who were giving plus massages. And they have been deported and blacklisted as well. And so, I don't know, it's Bali suddenly become a place where foreign hookers are coming to practice their profession. And, of course, the usual overstays and misusing visas. So, immigration still really busy. So let's get started with the first story. Bapanas downplays concerns over reduced budget for free nutritious meal program. When President Prabowo was in his campaign period, he had promised that he was going to be giving out free nutritious meals. And that was a big part of his program. Well, some questions about that. Head of the National Food Agency, Bapanas, Arif Prasetyo Adi, has addressed concerns regarding the reduced budget for the free nutritious meal program to 10,000 rupiah per individual. He said that the National Nutrition Agency, led by Dandan Hindayana, had formulated the policy. The focus is actually on nutritional value, as always emphasized by the president, he said. He declined to elaborate further, but reiterated that the implementation of the free nutritious meal program falls under the purview of the National Nutrition Agency. Regardless of the budget issue, he stressed the importance of prioritizing nutritional standards. It is a nutritious meal program. Just because it's free, it doesn't mean a compromise on nutrition. That's President Prabowo's instructions, he added. Previously, Dandan announced a budget of 15,000 per individual for the program. However, the president subsequently declared a budget of 10,000 per person for both children and pregnant women. We aimed for 15,000, but considering the budget constraints, we believe that 10,000 is sufficient for certain regions. It can still ensure quality and nutritional adequacy. Prabowo highlighted the potential impact of the policy, stating that a family with 3 to 4 children could receive up to 2.7 million rupiah per month. When combined with social assistance programs like the Family Hope Program and other aid, we believe those are the government's efforts to support all segments of society. This is from the president. And you may remember when I talked about this months ago that there were questions from economists and people in the financial sector about whether or not the government was going to be able to afford this populist program. And it looks like they're going to be downsizing it a little, but according to the authorities in charge of this, nutrition will be taken care of even at the reduced budget of 10,000 per person. And we'll have to see how this works out when it gets started. I think that it starts in January, if I remember right. And Christmas time and New Year's, Nataru is coming. And well, if you remember last year, it was a mess when people were trying to get to the airport and that they had to get out of their cars and walk down the road pulling their luggage with them. It was a black eye for tourism in Bali. Well, there have been a number of suggestions on how to get around that kind of a problem this year. And here's one. DPRD suggests that non-DK vehicles are prohibited from entering Bali during Christmas. The Bali Regional People's Representative Council, DPRD, plans to ban vehicles with non-DK plates from entering the island of the gods during the 2024-2025 Christmas and New Year Nataru holidays. The regulation is claimed to support local Bali travel. Actually, I want to defend local Bali travel compared to outside Bali because they are the ones who pay taxes to Bali, said the chairman of Commission 2 of Bali DPRD, Agung Bagus Pratiksa Linggi alias Ajus Linggi. Ajus Linggi revealed that he had discussed the discourse with the acting governor of Bali, Pak Mahendra Jaya. According to him, in addition to being an effort to support local travel, the policy is also to prevent horror traffic jams that occurred during the Nataru momentum last year. I don't want last year's tragedy to happen again. If it happens again, Bali's image as a holiday destination will be destroyed. This is according to the chairman of Indonesian Young Entrepreneurs Association. Ajus Linggi ensured that the volume of vehicles would increase during the Nataru holiday period if non-DK plate vehicles enter Bali. He requested that all types of non-DK vehicles be banned from entering the island of the gods during Nataru. For Christmas and New Year, it would be better if all vehicles with non-DK plates are prohibited from entering Bali. Technically, it is also difficult to distinguish which are travel vehicles and which are not. Pak Ajus suggested that tourists use planes when vacationing in Bali during Christmas and New Year. However, if going to Bali by land, he asked tourists to use shuttle or travel services from Bali when arriving at the port. So I guess they drive to the port, leave their car there, and then they take travel services. In addition, Pak Ajus also requested that online motorcycle taxi drivers, ojol, operating in Bali use vehicles with DK plates. This was done so that their vehicle taxes would become income for the Bali provincial government. He said, this is so that it doesn't eat into the market and livelihoods of Balinese ID card holders. We are providing wider space for Balinese residents who pay taxes in Bali. Pak Ajus plans to invite online motorcycle taxi companies to convey this. The hope is that it can reduce traffic jams, competition, and improve the welfare of the Balinese people. And what about food security? I've talked about food security in Bali and in Indonesia. Well, what's the president have to say about this? Prabowo confident Indonesia will not import rice in 2025. Increased food production, largest food reserves. President Prabowo is confident that Indonesia will no longer import rice by 2025. This is due to recent continuous increase in national food production. I'm very confident and likely that in 2025 we will not import rice anymore, said the president. In addition, he also aims for Indonesia in the future to no longer import all food commodities due to the increasing strength of food production domestically. Going forward, we will be stronger in this field, in the food field. We will be free not only from importing rice, but we must be free from importing all food commodities. The president also expressed his gratitude to the coordinating minister for food and all ministers dealing with food. From the recently limited meeting a few days ago, the president said that he'd received very encouraging reports from the field. Our food production has increased. Our food reserves may be the largest for the last several years. What we have in our warehouses, I think, is approaching 2 million tons. Furthermore, the president also confirmed that current food reserves are in sufficient condition. I appreciate the Minister of Agriculture and his team Bulag, the National Food Agency, all elements of state-owned enterprises, and SOES, under the supervision of the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises. Thank you for all the steps taken at the end of 2024. Pak Prabowo also appreciated Pak Jokowi's efforts in being able to overcome this year's challenges, which were not easy, such as El Nino and La Nina. Dry season, but we were able to overcome it, able to face it in the midst of a not easy geopolitical situation. Geopolitical issues also affect food issues. Because, according to the president, if there's a crisis, countries that usually export food will stop their exports. This phenomenon has occurred many times. Therefore, thank God, we are now in a stronger position, said the president. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about food security over the coming months. And we have to see how this is going to work out in Bali, where, as you know, we are losing lots of agricultural land every year. And if you've walked around the island and you've taken a look up here, you will see a mess of cables, electrical cables, internet cables, all sorts of stuff. I have no idea out in front of our house. What a mess. Chaotic. Bali Island of 1,000 internet provider poles and cables. Internet cables are everywhere between the trees that shade the streets and the entrances of people's houses. Plus, the poles that are installed, like bamboo trees, have become a sight in cities and villages in Bali, especially in the areas of Denpasar, Badung, Gianyar, and Tabanan. It seems that the public is starting to get fed up with the view that spoils the beauty of this spatial layout. As evidence, 26 reports have been submitted to the Ombudsman Representative Office of Bali from 2022 to 2024 for the issue of wireless fidelity, Wi-Fi, or internet network poles and cables alone. According to the head of the ORI office in Bali, the 26 reports were submitted through a complaint channel. Meanwhile, people who did not use the complaint channel expressed their concerns through social media. And there were also several cases that were monitored through print, online, and electronic mass media. This problem, he said, has become an extraordinary public issue. There are also those who have become victims due to the chaos of this telecommunications cable. For that, this year we have conducted a systematic study, more studies related to the problem. The Ombudsman then conducted a study in the areas of Denpasar City, Badung Regency, Gianyar, Tabanan, Sarbagita. The study looked at several aspects, among which the important ones were from the regulatory side, licensing, handling of public reports at the regional government level. Study data was collected from the Communication and Informatics Office, Public Works and Spatial Planning Office, Investment and One-Stop Integrated Service Office, and the PLN and Telecom, and the Association of Telecommunication Network Providers, APJTEL. From the data we have obtained, there has been no permit for the use of road space called Rumaja, not Ramaja, Rumaja, for telecommunications companies issued by the Sarbagita government. The Ombudsman also revealed that only Badung and Denpasar have PERDA and Perwali related to the planning of utility networks that can be used to address the chaos of internet cables. Gianyar and Tabanan do not have district-level regulations. Since Badung PERDA number 19 of 2016, the Badung Regency government has never issued a permit. Denpasar, there were some who applied, but they did not meet the requirements. In Gianyar, there were 5 who applied for permits for the use of Rumaja. In Tabanan, there was 1 who asked for a technical recommendation, but even so, there's been no permit for the use of Rumaja issued by local governments in the Sarbagita area for telecommunications companies. However, the difference in data, in the bureaucracy, and the situation in the field has caused confusion among the public as to where they should report when there is a problem with these internet poles and cables. The government does not have data on which companies are installing internet cable networks in this area. APJTEL is also unable to confirm whether the poles and cables belong to its members when there are problems with broken cables and fallen poles that disturb residents. We've got regulations, but as usual, not enforced. He emphasized that the business license for the company installing poles and internet cables may come from the central government. However, the permit to use a house must be obtained from the regional road organizer in accordance with PU Regulation number 20 of 2010 and PP number 34 of 2006. Therefore, from this study, we recommend 3 suggestions for improvement to be followed up. The suggestions for improvement are, first, to form a telecommunications cable handling work team to follow up on the regional regulation that has been made to formulate regional regulations related to the handling of telecommunication cables. Second, the work team inventories, permits, and fosters telecommunication cable companies. And then the Ombudsman asks the regional government to serve complaints about telecommunications cables from the public. This is contained in the third suggestion for the improvement, namely that the Sarbaguita government, through the work team, create a service standard for handling telecommunications cables complaints. These suggestions for improvement are to be processed within 30 days. Later, we will monitor the process, he said. The other day, he submitted the results of the systematic study and suggestions for improvement to regional government representatives. The regional government representatives hope that ORI will forward this issue to the central government and that law enforcers can be involved in the telecommunications cable handling work team. And another issue of communication between different agencies in the government, in the central government, regional government, and district governments. Okay, that is it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Take care, and I will see you next time.